Hey everybody, welcome into To The Point. I'm your host, Noah Warren. It is Tuesday, April the 25th. Hope you're all doing well on this dreary day, but we have lots to dive into today. Shamus Fillmore, my good buddy, will be by in about 50 minutes time to chat about a number of different things. I will grill him about the fact that he gave up on his Toronto Maple Leafs before the series started. Didn't pick them. Now they're up 3-1 in the series, like somebody predicted before the series started. And why it really shouldn't be that big of a deal that this team is up 3-1. And that might sound like a buzzkill type of thing, but it's actually a positive thing and why this team is very, very good. But we'll get to that in a little bit. We're going to talk some NBA. Jimmy Butler went off last night in the NBA. There's been a suspension in the NHL involving one of the league's best players, so that's always an interesting topic of conversation. Dirk is here on the podcast today. If you're watching the video, she's locked and loaded. She has to have her opinion heard. So Dirk is here as well. Shamus will be by in a little bit. So lots of fun today. Well, let's start here. Before the playoffs started, most opinionists, most fans, most informed people were picking the Toronto Maple Leafs to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. And yet, it's this huge deal as to why they're up 3-1, and I don't really understand it because the Toronto Maple Leafs are a better team than the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have been all year long. They're the younger team. They're not as tired. Other than goaltending, which this series has not proven that Tampa's goaltending is better. Even I love Vasilevsky as much as the next person. He hasn't been good. It has been complete. It is. You look across the ice, Toronto is better than Tampa. And seeing a 3-1 lead, I get it from fans in a certain extent because Leaf fans have been tortured so much. They're used to failure. You might say some Leafs fans are losers themselves. They have a loser's mentality. But why is the national conversation that this is such a surprise? And it isn't. But there's this thing called narrative that everybody likes to build. It makes the story seem better. It makes it seem improbable. David defeating Goliath. Oh my God, it's not. It's the complete opposite. I wouldn't say it's Goliath defeating David, but it's certainly, I'm not going to make a biblical reference because that's way out of my realm, but I'm not even in my purview. I'll say it's Mike Tyson beating Lennox Lewis. It's not exactly, it's not a fight that is that surprising that a person won. You see a really good fighter on one side, a pretty decent one on the other. It's not a huge surprise if either guy wins. And the one thing that I could say through 4 games in this series is Toronto, this isn't your average Leafs team because in years past, this team would already have lost this series. They'd be down 3-1. They'd be going into a Game 5, and they absolutely would have lost it. They wouldn't have pushed to 6 games. It wouldn't be a series because this team in the past did not have a backbone, did not have any fervor, and would give up. They were a team that would front run, then get a lead. The second you don't have a stranglehold on the series, they would falter. They would sink into the ground and act dead. They would play dead because it would be easier than admitting defeat. But here's the deal. This Leafs team is different. They're not your average Leaf team. What I saw and I thought last night was more impressive than Saturday. I detailed the reasons why yesterday. I felt Tampa should have won the game. They didn't. Them's the breaks. You get some luck. Most people disagree with me. Again, I'm going to think I'm right, so I don't particularly care about the other Discord. But nevertheless, you take the win and you run. You rob a bank, you don't look back. You keep on trucking. You get in the car, you keep driving, and you hope you can go count the bills. Last night, Toronto was dreadful through 40 minutes. Completely dreadful. William Nylander had played 40 minutes of hockey that it might as well have been. It was as if he didn't put skates on. It was as if he didn't have a brain in his head. It was complete nonsense. The drop passes, the power plays that were going nowhere. Toronto did nothing well in the first 40 minutes. When they got a lead, they give it away. They take a stupid penalty. It was just error after error after error. And yet they go into a third period down 4-1. And you see somebody like William Nylander, who I just mentioned had 40 minutes of truly dreadful hockey. And he rebounded. He played well. He made good decisions, and he ended up finishing the game with 3 assists. Overall, his game still wasn't good because you know how I grade games. It's not a one-period effort. You play 60. But in that third period, he was clutch. He's continued to prove to be a playoff performer. He continues to show the attributes of a guy that steps up in the big moments. And he turned his shitty play, which in the regular season would be in the third period, don't go into the corner, don't play hard, try to do as little as possible, throw a no-hitter, whatever the least amount of effort would be, he did it. That would be his play. That's his alternative to playing hard. Last night, he wasn't throwing people into the boards. He wasn't being physical, but he didn't fall out of the game, and that's just as important. He didn't become Casper the Ghost. He wasn't just nowhere. He stood up. That's number one. Number two, I've talked about this player all year long, and I think my discussion about this player has been completely fair. Austin Matthews during the regular season was not a top 20 player in the world. He wasn't. He was last year. That does not mean you just get to carry that moniker every year. You have to back it the fuck up. That's what McDavid does. That's what McKinnon does. Makar. You got to continue to do it. You cannot do it in the regular season. And then there's this thing now that means so much more to me in my personal rankings. The best players in the world. Austin Matthews played like one of the best players in the world last night. He controlled the game. He owned the game, and he said, enough, we're not losing. He gets 2 goals. He dominated play. He made strong plays along the boards. He was fantastic for the Maple Leafs. I thought he was good on Saturday, too. This is what you expect. This is what you expect on a given night. Consistent play. You got the best shot in the world, continue to show it. You're a physical guy. Don't let Stamkos, who's fucking 40, beat the shit out of you. Show some fervor. Show some backbone. But he never stopped skating. He kept the energy chugging. And he was great when he had to be. And here's the thing. The beautiful thing about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Saturday's game, they didn't play good, but they won. Last night, they didn't play good, but they won. In 2013, they lost to the Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins didn't play good in that game, but they won. And that's what you remember. You remember the result, not how you got there. In the regular season, you can look at results and it might tell you big picture about the team. But when you get to the playoffs, it's a new season. It's a completely new page. You got a new canvas and how you want to portray yourself. It's like going to university. You're not the person that you were in high school. If you were a loser, you don't have to be. If you can recreate yourself, if you can find a niche and become something different. Old perceptions are only your perception if you want it to be that. Some people want to change all the time. Times you look at yourself in the mirror like, geez, I wish I could be a different person, or I wish I could do this. The Toronto Maple Leafs have forgotten who they were. They have forgotten that they were a bunch of losers that their fan base hated. They said, we're tired of being this. And whether they should win this series, which they should, or not, is irrelevant in this discussion. Not about the narrative of being so surprised that this team is winning the series. That's hooey, that's caca, that's reporters, aka fans, drawing up something that really isn't there. Kudos to them. I know it's tough to cover a team. But the Leafs are forgetting who they were. They're forgetting about 2013. They're forgetting about last year. They're forgetting about Columbus in the bubble. They're forgetting about all of this. Because guess what? Those were years ago, and you don't have to be that team. But until you overcome, until you prove that you're not, you will be that team. You will be that team until you prove otherwise. You will be a loser until you prove to people that you're not, until you show people what you have to bring to the table. I credit them for having a perception and attacking it this year. Now, it's not done yet. They need to close out the series. They're going to tomorrow or Thursday. But it's the start of it. You already see a change. They wouldn't have won either of those games. They wouldn't have won either one in the past. They would have gave up so easily. But they didn't in these games. They fought for ice. They continue to get opportunities. And that is a skill in and of itself. Is the belief, is the killer instinct not leaving your body. Say, well, let's just mail this one in. And we got the split going back to Tampa. We got home ice. We'll be fine. That's a loser's mentality. That's the old Leaf mentality. That wasn't what they did last night. And, you start to think, well, is it Matthews just getting older? Well, he's not a spring chicken. So I'm not going to say that. Marner was great this year. Marner's pretty damn good every year. Well, Samsonov's been very good. But again, to me, the biggest difference with this Maple Leaf, it's one ad. Ryan O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly he's a tone setter. He's a leader. And he's a winner, but I think there's a difference between you say, we traded for a winner. You have Kyle Clifford on your team. He's a Stanley Cup champion, and he has that moniker. But Ryan O'Reilly was the best player on a championship winning team. That's different. It just is. You're trading for the best player on a championship team. That has some cachet. That's a little different of a feel. It's a different mindset. That's a different way to approach things. And I think it's really impressive what Ryan O'Reilly has been doing for the Leafs. His back check on the first goal last night, he's drawing penalties. He's working along the boards. And also grooming Matthew Knies. Because through 40 minutes, Matthew Knies and Ryan O'Reilly were the two best Leaf forwards last night. They didn't have many others that were that great. They both worked for pucks. They created opportunities. They played 200 feet. Knies playing with Riley is great. And Riley playing center, who knew it would have worked? Who knew that was the play? So difficult to figure that out. But Ryan O'Reilly is a champion. He's a winner. He's everything you want. And he may not be the player that he once was, but he ain't bad either. He's earning some money for next year somewhere else in these playoffs. But I think his play's been fantastic. Samsonov again, very good. Made some saves when he had to. Made a big save late in the third period to keep it tied. But he didn't have many chances to save pucks last night. That Kaloran shot was money. The Kaloran first goal, you're not stopping that. The Stamkos one was a deflection. He's been good when he had to be in every game in this series other than game 1. Now pivoting to look at Tampa Bay. Where did they go wrong last night? It's a simplistic thing to say Tampa got tired. It's a cop-out answer, and that's not my definitive answer, but I do have some evidence to prove that they were. I think they are tired. I also think Toronto's a better team than them. I think Toronto can score as quick as anybody in the league, quite frankly. When they get hot, they can score 3 goals in 3 minutes. That's what they do. They have the firepower. They have the guys to do it. But you look at the game last night. Toronto kept putting on pressure. And to me, Tampa's defense just doesn't have the depth that they used to. And it hurts them. Sergachev has to do a lot. Victor Hedman, who's playing on one leg, has to do a lot. Darren Radish is playing Ian Cole is playing every shift. Zach Bogosian takes a penalty late in the third period. Toronto's D has been better. Morgan Rielly, who will never be my favorite. I think even though he scored a goal last night at tying goal, I thought I'd give him a C+, his game. He made some really poor decisions with the puck. But you live with that if he scores a goal. And I get that C+ might not be, if you're a Leaf fan, you might think I'm crazy with that. Go rewatch the game. Don't just look at the goal. But, Justin Hall gets on people's nerves, but he blocks shots. He makes good decisions most of the time. But is he more capable than I'd rather have Justin Hall than Ian Cole or Zach Bogosian at this point in their career? Point blank. Leaf fans can hate him. They find a depth player that they hate every year. Jake Gardner, they'll threaten to kill him probably in a month when they get beat out. But he does his job. Luke Schenn has been awesome for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Has been even better than I think they thought going in. He's playing important minutes. He's making very few mistakes. When he's on the ice, he's not allowing scoring opportunities. He's being physical. And he's just been phenomenal. I thought it would hurt Tampa not to reacquire him, and it does, because they have to play Ian Cole and Bogosian, and they're both not as good as Luke Schenn. They just aren't. But it's simple things like that, and Kyle Dubas deserves credit for that, getting more depth than Tampa Bay. Looking at your opponent and finding more depth, finding more pieces that can play. And Luke Schenn's fit in perfectly. He's a physical force. He's not afraid to play. He knows his role, which is just as important. O'Reilly's been good. Achari scores a goal last night. Lafferty was a little invisible, but again, Alex Kerfoot scores the overtime winner, much to the chagrin of Leaf fans and just the people that watch the game who don't think he's any good, including yours truly. It's You never saw Tampa do that the past two games, give up leads like they did. Vasilevsky would shut the door, or the team would just make it 5-1 and give up hope. That never happened. The Leafs got momentum, and they never lost it. And it wasn't as if the Tampa's big boys, Cirelli played awesome last night. I thought Hagel was really good. Point was all over the puck. Kucherov was always dancing. But ultimately, it was their defensive play that was their undoing. And again, Samsonov's been better than Vasilevsky in the series, point blank. He just has been. He's made big saves. Vasilevsky hasn't made a key save for his team to keep them in the game or push them over the top. Not having as good of a deep defenseman in front of him, I think, is a key example of it. Not as many block shots, not as easy transitions out of his own zone. It makes his life a little more difficult, and you have to worry a little bit. Plus, he's being beat from the point. A lot of shots from the point, beating him over the shoulder. Derek Lalonde mentioned that last night on the broadcast for CBC. I think if you're a Leaf fan, you should be really proud of this team. You were minutes away from hating them last night for having that kind of effort, but they found a way to win. They win both games on the road in Tampa. That is not easy to do. Really isn't. You won a game when your team was down 4-1 to Kucherov, Point, Stamkos, Killorn. And the top two lines for Tampa were fantastic. Now there's the Michael Bunting of it all. He served a suspension. The team goes 3-0 without him. Keefe already said Matthew Nyes is not coming out of the lineup. No shit. He's played too well. Be crazy to take him out. If I'm Sheldon Keefe, Michael Bunting is in the press box on Thursday night. Your team has chemistry. They're winning. Why break that up? I made the argument before, if you're going to do that, do it at the beginning of a new series. So it's like a restart. There isn't any momentum from the last one. You've had a break. Have Michael Bunting sit tomorrow night. You hope to close out the series. Game 1 against the Bruins starts. He is in the lineup. If you want to put him back in, then that's when you do it. I would not do it Thursday night. I don't see a reason to. And who's coming out? It's not going to be nice. Kerfoot is beloved by that coaching staff. Again, I don't see his value. Swiss Army knife. He doesn't throw a check. He makes stupid passes. Anyway, they love him. He's not coming out. Is Aston Reese coming out? I wouldn't take Aston Reese out. At least Aston Reese has enough sense to not throw a cheap hit in a bad situation right to somebody's head. Sam Lafferty, maybe. See the healthy scratch for the Maple Leafs? He plays center. He can play center if you still want to put Riley back up to that second line, which I don't think is a smart plan, but again, they might want to do it. So does Lafferty come out? It's not going to be nice. Does it Aston Reese? He'd be sitting. He'd be sitting and he'd wait. I'm not breaking chemistry just to make sure Michael Bunting's feelings are okay. Quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. You were stupid. You got yourself suspended. You almost cost us. Way worse than it could have been. You don't have any self-control. You have no hockey sense. Set a tone that you never did with Nazem Kadri. He got away with it scot-free, and your solution to addressing this problem was trading him for Tyson Barrie and Alex Kerfoot. Wasn't a good solution. Wasn't the proper solution when you could have just used some discipline. You could have sent a message. No, let's do it this way. Learn from your mistakes. Learn from your perception. Learn from your actions. Sit him down for a game. You're not going to win or lose the game because of Michael Bunting. Maybe you'll lose it more than you'll win it. That's a better case scenario of that happening. So that's it. If I'm Sheldon Keefe, I think he takes his orders from Kyle Dubas and co. Maybe Spezza gets the rule on the lineup, but he's not in the lineup for me. He can eat popcorn with Kyle and Jason in their little box there and celebrate and yell at fans, whatever they want to do. But Bunting would love that job. Just yell at fans. Yell at the Tampa fans that make the trip to Toronto. But no, he's not playing. This game last night had a lot of different things, many different elements. But at the end of the game, it had something I hate, and it's a new trend. You notice trends, you bring them up, I like to talk about them. So far in these Stanley Cup playoffs, 5 games have been decided in overtime by a power play goal. 5 overtime games have been decided on a power play goal in overtime. Hate it. There was not 5 games decided by power play goal in overtime the past 2 postseasons combined. Past 2 postseasons combined, there was not 5 power play goals to end the game. There are already 5 this year. Last night there were 2. In the Leaf game, Sergachev makes a play on the puck. Nylander's not in a great scoring opportunity. That's another thing that has to be addressed at these plays. He hits the puck first. He makes a play for the puck. Nylander falls over him. They call tripping and ultimately leads to a game-winning goal. I didn't think it was a trip myself. I didn't think it was a penalty. The Maple Leafs were going to win the game. They were dominating overtime. But again, I don't like a call in overtime when it's very much, was that a penalty? And also, it's not a high scoring opportunity. It wasn't egregious. It wasn't a check from behind. It wasn't delay of game where you have to call it. It wasn't a high stick or a guy's bleeding. This was just a judgment call, and you called it tripping on Sergachev that late in the game. That was Bush League. For an overtime penalty to be called, it has to be something horrendous. That was not horrendous last night. It was a play that Sergachev made a good play in the puck, and you get called for tripping. I've said it many times. I think the officiating's been horrible in the postseason so far. I think it's been horrible. Every game there are calls you look at and say, what the hell was that? That makes no sense. This is not just this series. This is across the NHL. It's been bad. But in this particular moment, this trend continued because later on in the night, Colorado takes a penalty in overtime. Seattle scores on the power play. The game's over. And I have a couple different thoughts as to why. So number one, the league just wants more penalties. They want more power plays. They want more scoring. It's more interesting. They feel it's more interesting. 5-on-4 is not more interesting than 5-on-5, but again, the league makes decisions that wouldn't naturally be smart, and they believe are smart. So I wouldn't put that past them. My other thought is this. Is the league put in a mandate that we don't hear about as viewers, that they don't want these games going too long? This is just a theory. I have nothing to back this up. This is just a thought from me. Does the NHL want their playoff games to be over sooner rather than later? Do they see the success of baseball? They see their games, the game times, and they say, you know what, hey, call it like you would in regulation. Call it the same. And you know what? If it's 2 minutes into overtime, they score 2 minutes and 45 seconds, great. We can flip to the next game. Or people can get to bed earlier. They can watch the whole game. That's just a thought. I think it's I'm not saying it's true, but I don't think it's a 0% chance. Because these networks don't want to. I mean, last night, I'll give you an example. Seattle and Colorado, that game ended after 2:30. I know that because I was up. 2:30 in the morning. I got like an hour and 45 minutes of sleep last night. It's not enough. It was brutal. But I have to watch the game. But are they thinking of me? Well, they're not thinking about Atlantic time. They're thinking more about of Eastern. But I mean, even in Ontario, 1:30, nobody's staying up for Seattle and Colorado to watch that whole game. So what's the solution? That to me, that's a solution where games don't go as long. They have to finish them quicker because they have to justify why a game says it starts at 10:30 and it starts at 10:50, or an 11 o'clock puck drops at 11:20. My God. It makes no sense, but they continue to do it. It's the only way I see it making even some sense. Is they feel that they want the games to be short and they don't want the overtimes to go too long. They don't want the players to be on the ice more than they have to. So hey, if you see a penalty, call it. I hate it. LA's won 2 times in the series against Edmonton, both games in overtime, both on the power play. Just, to me, it's not the way you finish a game. It's not the way that game should be decided. You let the 2 teams play it out, and unless it's egregious, you let them play. You don't blow the whistle. You don't be the hero. They didn't come to see you play, so why blow the whistle? Speaking of that Seattle-Colorado game that went till 2:30 a.m., pardon me. Early in the game, Jared McCann, you could argue the best player for the Seattle Kraken, was in the offensive zone, gets rid of the puck. Cale Makar, late on the play, finishes a check hard into the boards. Jared McCann left the game, did not return, has already been ruled out for Game 5 by Dave Haxtell. Makar was initially assessed a 5-minute major, but then it was revoked after video review. One sec. Speed bump. This reviewing of penalties, I do this all the time, and I know you guys must hate it by now. Believe me, I wish I didn't have to. If an official makes a call, I will live with it. In overtime, I hate it, but I will live with the decision because at least he made the call. What's happening now is a ref makes a decision. That was checking from behind. That was a trip. That was a cross check. We got to go see if it's worthy of a 5-minute, and you have to go review it. Why? 25 years ago, referees made decisions. The game was okay, in my opinion. 10 years ago, we didn't have this review that we have now. The game was better, if you ask me. Referees don't know. They feel they have to go to the headset every time because they're so unsure of what they're doing. You were hired to do the job, not the other guy who's in the headset telling you, I think he had full extension on that when he gave the cross check. Who gives a shit? You were hired to do the job. Know the rule, call it, or don't. Get somebody else that can. Just going up and reviewing every fucking play. Review is, I still don't know what a fucking goal is. Braden Point's goal should have counted. No, there's goal interference here. Oh, we got to review. What the fuck? Again, yesterday's point, what the hell is a cross check? What the hell is a trip? How the fuck am I supposed to know when you have the officials going up and talking to people after every call that they make? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Know what you're doing. Have some self-confidence, my man. Know what you're doing. Jeez Louise. But in that game, Makar had a 5-minute major, then it was revoked. Here's the thing. Do I think Makar should have been given a 5-minute major on that play? No. But am I happy that he wasn't given a 5-minute major because they went and talked to Dave Jackson, whoever the hell they're talking to? No. I'd rather see him get the 5 and the ref decide that. Have it be a mistake, give him a 5-gamer, see ya. Here's even the funnier thing. So they take away the 5-minute major. Jared McCann out for the game, already ruled out for Game 5. This afternoon, Cale Makar has been suspended for 1 game. He will miss the pivotal Game 5 in the Seattle-Colorado series. Okay. Here's another thought. You go review the play. The officials who make the rules, the officials who know the rules better than anybody, see the play. They say that's not a 5-minute penalty. That's just a 2-minute interference, roughing. I forget whatever they gave him. But you know what? That's a 2-minute minor penalty. He's not going to be tossed. Let's throw him in the box, see what happens. Okay, cool. But then you get to today and you have the Department of Player Safety. George Peros and all the, I'm sure, lovely people that work for him. They look at the play. A lot of ex-players, a lot of people that work in the league office, not officials. Not the people who know the rules better than anybody. They say, you know what? No, that was a dirty play. He should be suspended for that. Why is there a disconnect? Why in the game is that a 2-minute penalty and why the next day is it a game suspension? At least Michael Bunting was tossed from the game and he was given a suspension. If you are allowed to stay in a game, should you really be suspended? Was Rafi Torres allowed to stay in the game after all the things he did? These suspensions now, you're gone. You're tossed. You know you're getting suspended. You just got to wait to hear how many games. I don't think Cale Makar thought he was going to be suspended for that play. Was it a late hit? Yeah. Was it unnecessary? Yes. Was it a safe play? No. But based off what we're supposed to know, if officials calling the game, key emphasis there, officials calling the game did not assess him a 5-minute major and a game misconduct, then why would the Department of Player Safety suspend him for 1 game? Beats me. And do we have a concrete evidence? Do we have concrete reasons as to why he did? No, we don't. We don't. It's still a mystery. But to me, in this scenario, it's not chicken or the egg. Is it chicken or is it egg? Is it a suspendable play? Is it worthy of being ejected? Officials say no. They reviewed it. This wasn't just their decision. You don't review it. You don't go look at the play. They reviewed it, ladies and gents. They went and got on the headset and they called up Barney and Fred and said, "What do you think about this?" And whoever, Barney and Fred got back to, "Yeah, that's a good play there. Yeah, no call, no, it's a 2-minute minor. It's a 2-minute minor," and they kept going. Then you get to this morning, all the suits and all the hairdos and the people that spick and span heading to the league office in New York, smelling fantastic. I'm sure nice Abercrombie and Fitch cologne they got in their office, sitting down. How'd last night go? Oh, pretty good. Good games there. Yeah, happy the Leafs won. Oh, I didn't mean to say that out loud. The Rangers lost. Oh, yeah, it's a drag. We need them to win. But what else happened? Oh, yeah, was that play in the Colorado game? I went to bed. We should probably look at that. Yeah, you're right. Let's take a peek. So then Don going and watch. Wow, he didn't really have the puck on that play. What did the officials say? Oh, it doesn't matter. No, you're right. It doesn't matter. We make the decisions around here. So we won't even take into account what our officials called it. Yeah, you know what? McCann's out for a game, maybe more. Makar should miss a game at least. Even Steven. To me, that's the rendition of what they did. Because I guarantee you these guys didn't stay up watching that Colorado game. League office is in New York. They're going to bed. They saw the Rangers lost. They were just besides themselves. They were so upset. One of the big markets not playing well. Then the Leafs wins. They're euphoric. They're ecstatic. They're trying not to be so happy in front of other people, to pretend like they don't have a rooting interest. But they do. They look at Seattle. They look at Colorado. Colorado's the defending Stanley Cup champion. Keel McCarr's the defending Conn Smythe Trophy winner. And yet he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. He doesn't get away with murder, so to speak. Interesting decision. I don't think he should have been suspended. I think it was a dirty play. But if the officials on the ice went up to the headset and they concluded that it was not a 5-minute major, then I'll live with that. But Department of Player Safety, reviewing every play, power plays and overtime, this isn't good for the game. It just isn't. Nobody can tell me that it is. Who likes review? Nerds? Who's enjoying that part of the game? Oh, let's look at this angle, 85, fucking no. It slows down pace. It doesn't get you anything. The eye test. Have a human being make a decision. What do we want? Chat GPT making decisions for us on suspensions? Is that where we're going here? The best part about life is it's all about decisions that you make as a human being. What path are you going to go on? What are you going to do for a job? Where are you going to live? These are all decisions that you get to make. We're now looking towards video review. We're looking towards, you're asking other people to make decisions for you. As an official, I wouldn't want to go upstairs because you lose that control. If I'm Wes McCauley, if I'm Garrett Rank, why would I want to call them up? Because then they get to dictate to me. I don't want that. I hate rules and regulations. I hate authority. To quote Michael Scott, I thrive under lack of management. That would be my temperament if I was an official. Okay, this is how you want it done? That's kind of the way I want it done. It's got me this far in life. My parents still enjoy me somewhat. I have a few friends. But it's fun being this way sometimes. Credit to the Seattle Kraken. They've been tough all year. They battled through the game last. They don't have Jarrett McCann, who was their best player all season long. And they find a way to get 2 points. They find a way to battle. They scratch, they crawl their way. And Jordan Eberle scores the overtime winner, who's been in the NHL a long time. Seattle took him in the expansion draft from the Islanders. He just finds ways to be productive. He finds ways to score big goals. But Philip Grubauer's been really solid in the series. Had a tough game 3, but he rebounded great last night. Vince Dunn and Adam Larson have played huge minutes for Seattle. They've been their horses. And Adam Larson's went from a guy that you look at the Taylor Hall trade and say, what were you thinking? He's actually had a really solid career. been a really good defensive defenseman for a long time. And the biggest thing for Colorado so far in this series is they have two players that are producing. McKinnon and Rantanen have been superstars, but they are getting no help. The depth of Colorado is nowhere to be seen. Valeri Nichushkin has left the team. Something happened. There was a video out of him. He looked disoriented. He looked like a guy that was on some substances. He's no longer with the team. He didn't play last night. They had to insert Ben Myers. Arturi Lehkonen has had a slow start. Alex Newhook's kind of having the playoffs he did last year. Doesn't seem to be a playoff performer. They have depth defensemen that are not exactly known for their offensive productivity. So, where do they go from here? McKinnon and Rantanen playing like superstars may be good enough to get them out of the first round. That could happen. Because they're just that good. Even without Makar, if Byram steps up, they get some production from Devon Taves, and those two players playing the way that they are, I think they can beat Seattle. I'm not certain of it, but I think it's a possibility. But you look ahead, if they get they're going to get Minnesota or Dallas in the second round. That's not an easy series. Two very different opponents, but Minnesota's going to be really rough, physical on you, and Dallas has a lot of different ways that they can beat you with their skill all over the ice and the amount of guys that can do damage. So, goes back to Colorado 2-2, no Cale Makar. Seattle doesn't get Jared McCann. But for Seattle to win this series, they have to do what they've done all year, and that's score by committee. They have so many guys on this team that can score goals. So many guys on this team that can score goals. So many guys that will score 15 to 20 goals. I said that before the year. Daniel Sprong. You got Bjorkstrand. McCann, obviously the outlier, he's scoring 40. You had Vince Dunn on the back end who popped in a bunch of points this season for Seattle. Jaden Schwartz had a healthy season. He's been pretty solid in the postseason so far. So you look through this roster, there's just guys, every shift, they can throw guys on the ice that can be productive and do their own thing. You have Tanev, you have guys that just bring different things to the table. Top to bottom, Seattle has more men that can produce than Colorado does on paper. Because you have McKinnon and Rantanen, who are better than anybody that Seattle has. But looking past them, and without Makar, Byram is very good, but I think Vince Dunn is awfully close. Adam Larson, Devon Taves. Devon Taves is more offensive upside, but Adam Larson is as solid as it gets when it comes to just his defensive zone presence and what he does out there. You got a really solid pro, like I said, in Sprong. You have Eli Tolvanen, who came over from Nashville via waivers. Sprong was on a PTO, but he's scoring goals. He's playing extremely confident right now. I don't know. I mean, you have Game 5 on home ice for Colorado. You got to win that game. You have to win that game. Georgiev's been pretty solid. But you talk about Tampa and you look at Colorado. This is the thing when you win. You lose depth. Colorado hasn't had Gabriel Landeskog the entire year. He's their captain. He's a horse. He's a really important player. You haven't had him for a game all season long. Makar missed time. You have injuries. You played more the year before. That's what makes Tampa's run so impressive. 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. In this era where you have to offload pieces, there's no Barclay Goodrow. There's no Blake Coleman. There's no Luke Shen. There's no Jan Ruda. There's no Ryan McDonough. Nazem Kadri's a Calgary Flame. So It's a tough situation for Colorado, but as I said, I think they can win this series without getting a whole lot of help, without many guys stepping up. But I don't think they can beat Dallas or Minnesota, the way their depth pieces and their second to fourth lines have been playing other than their top two players. You're not going to win because Dallas has more lines that can do it. And Minnesota, who's a very straightforward team, they play great defensively. They do a lot of things correct. They have shown offensive upside so far in the postseason. Marcus Johansson's been a good ad for them. Matthew Boldy's a flat-out stud. You have Kaprizov, you have Zuccarello. Jared Spurgeon's jumped into the rush more. Marcus Foligno. Fortunately, they don't have Joel Eriksson Ek, but I wouldn't want to play either of those teams. And they're going to get one of them. Guaranteed in the second round. That Game 5 is tonight in Dallas. Let's talk about Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Jets played a double overtime game on Saturday, and they came out on the wrong end of it. They're up, down 4-1. You come all the way. They pulled a Toronto, except they didn't win the game. Last night, it felt as though Winnipeg was never really in the game, despite the fact that it was a one-goal game the entire time. Vegas got an early lead. They put the strangleholds on them, and they never really let them back in. Laurent Brossoit has been a hell of a story for the Vegas Golden Knights. He's been solid every game, been really comfortable in the net, and he's been really, really impressive. But the biggest thing for Vegas and what makes them a scary team is their defense, their team defense, and how everybody buys into it. It starts with Shea Theodore and Alec Martinez and Pietrangelo, a whole bunch of guys that have either won or been on the cusp of winning. They know what it takes. You look at like White Cloud as their depth defenseman, who I like a lot. So their team defense is superb. They block a ton of shots. They get in the lane. They keep their opponents to the outside. But then you have Vegas has so many players that can produce offensively, but are known for their 200-foot game. And I can't speak glowingly enough about Chandler Stevenson and Mark Stone. Mark Stone and Stevenson are pivotal to everything they do. They never make mistakes. They turn defense into offense, and it's a skill that are incredible to see, really. Chandler Stevenson in this series has been Vegas' best player. By far. Bar none, their best player. He controls the middle of the ice. He is a great passer, and he's constantly in shooting lanes, and he steals pucks and creates them into offense. To me, he was already an impressive player, but these playoffs have only proved how good he really is. Because you don't hear about him, but then you watch him play for a few games, and you're like, holy crap, this guy's a Swiss Army knife. He doesn't make any mistakes. And yet he gets on the score sheet at all times. I love his game. Mark Stone is more smart than anything else. That's his superpower, is his brain. But the Vegas Golden Knights are superb because they're just smarter than most teams. To me, their team defense, their smarts, and I just think they have more belief than most teams as well. Let's bring on a man who really has no business gloating today. A man who gave up on his team before the series started, who said they weren't going to win, and now he'll gloat that they're winning 3-1, but really he quit on his team. And he told Mess he wouldn't do it, but he quit on them. Let's bring in Shamus Fillmore. Shamus, how are you?
Doing okay, my friend. How are you? Dirk, pretty active in the background.
Yeah, well, Dirk's having a day here. But how you feeling today?
Good. As a fan, I'm feeling great. As someone who comes on here weekly and makes predictions, I'm not feeling that great. But Matthew said it best. The fourth is hardest, the toughest to win. So we'll see how that plays out for them moving forward.
Maybe unplug your headphones. A little staticky there. Might be a
How's
little.
that? Sound better now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay, we're in another way. New laptop. Sorry, getting used to that.
What kind of laptop?
Just a clunky old thing that I bought that I can do some personal stuff on without having the company look at my data,
Right,
all the
right.
hacking I'm doing,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the
Must tracking your stuff.
yeah, tracking all my wins and losses, mostly losses.
What in the game last night involving your team? What was the biggest surprise for you?
Well, I woke up this morning. Obviously, I went to bed fairly excited, but I woke up this morning and I just had this thought in my head and I can't get it out. And I've been just dying all day. I've been thinking about it all day to get on here. So here's what I thought.
Okay.
Last night was like a fight between two men. One we'll call Tim. He's 40. He's rougher. He's a rougher guy. He's pretty good shape. He's a bigger guy. And he's just wowing on this old man. We'll call him Louis at 70 years old. So he's wowing on him the whole fight. But Louis has a little dementia, and Louis finally remembers that he's a black belt in about every martial art, thing that you could do, and he
Right.
just decides to whip ass. That was a lot like last night's game where, Tampa basically owned them. I would say, well, let's call it 50 minutes of it,
Right.
and the Leafs just decided, hey, we're going to pop into life. There was a little bit of life in the beginning of the second period, I thought, where they came alive. But then, that was kind of rinsed away shortly after the Killorn second goal. And and then shortly after that, 10 minutes too, it's just, me, I'm not going to go to bed. Obviously, it's the Leafs, but I'm like, okay, this is a dumpster fire. It's probably not going to happen. I kept telling my co-partner and the person I was watching the game with, Kennedy, like, they need a goal here to get it going. They need to spark it up. And this was probably late in the second. And then finally they kind of got that one goal. I was like, okay, well, maybe there's a little something cooking. And then it was a complete dumpster fire and complete, I guess, collapse by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I know how you feel about penalties in overtime. It is what it is. Nylander did technically draw a decent penalty on Sergachev. That's what it is. And, that gave him an opportunity to win the game. So I'd say if you're a Leafs fan like myself, you feel relatively lucky coming out of Tampa Bay with both those wins, because I didn't feel like you earned them overall.
Does this feel like a different team as a fan for you than past
Yes,
year?
because, in years prior, no way, no chance in hell they come back. I
I
think
think they lose both games this
I think they
weekend.
lose both games, and I think it's not even close. Like, I don't even think they score. The big guys in that game last night, right up until the end, they weren't there. You know what I mean? And that includes Marner. I think Marner's been the best forward by far of the Leafs in this series. Next second, I would probably go O'Reilly, but by far Marner was nearly invisible last night up until the last little bit, and
Yeah.
that's a like all these play, like they couldn't, like, you watch the game, they couldn't even make a pass. They weren't even
No.
passing hardly to each other, and to get into the zone on the power play was a stroke. Like
Oh
everything
my
just seemed
God.
like it just seems like everything was tougher for them
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
it had been, and they finally obviously it just started clicking, and when it did, like I said, 70-year-old Louis with the dementia just kind of kicked Tim's ass.
Right.
What about you? What were your key takeaways from that game, and
Yeah.
stuff that you could think that Tampa Bay would look on? Was that something that they did wrong? Is that just the Leafs overpowering them in the last 10 plus OT?
I think the Leafs' best players refused to lose last night, and I think they've accepted losing way too much over the last number of years. In
Right.
these playoffs, they will wilt, and not Chamberlain. They will wilt to their opponent. They will, they will let them win, so to speak. They won't give that extra effort to try to win. And I thought Matthews started it. He scored that goal, and I know they like to show that stupid little, I don't know, whatever celebration he did on the broadcast.
Oh
Craig
yeah.
Simpson had to talk about it 85 times, but I mean, good for Craig. Get that plug in there. But Matthews started it with that energy. I also thought Nylander, who might have been the worst player on either team through 40 minutes, he was god awful.
He was.
He ended the game on a positive note, and normally he'd check out and like be halfway to Baskin Robbins, in one of those games. And I thought in the third period he was really good. He made a great pass on Matthews' second goal. He stayed in the game, and that was a moment for growth for me, because too many times he checks out and he's not even in. He's not even in the game for the third period.
Yeah. Yeah. You take Tampa's first goal on the power play. That was that penalty that shouldn't happen. Like,
No,
like you stick
no.
your knee out, you take a bad penalty, and you're right. Most times you just have another, like, that would trail the rest of his game. Of the stink would stench around him, where he can't do anything and he's not good enough to fix his errors. But a couple assists last night. Played, he had the assist in the OT winner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was definitely. I would say morally for him, it was a redemption game for what was a lackluster 40 minutes, like you said. I think maybe this is my opinion. I'd like to hear your take on it. Samsonov played really well last night.
Yeah.
I don't think you can look at any of the goals that were scored on him and say those were entirely his fault. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree at all.
Like, every goal seemed like there was a deflection, or it was going to be a really tough save for him to make, like a damn near impossible save, right?
The Stamkos, he has no chance. That's just bad luck. It hits his skate, goes into the net.
Yeah.
The Killorn first goal, that's bad defensive coverage. That has nothing to do with him on the power play. The Killorn second, that was just a hell of a shot.
He couldn't even see it. He was a guy in his way, right? So what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I thought last night, because Vasilevsky hasn't been good in the series, it wasn't really his fault. There was a lot of goals that he couldn't control last night either for him.
Yeah, but I think that's his weakest spot. I mean, it's any goalie's weakest spot, but to really beat Vasilevsky, you got to just take away his eyes, because when you take away his eyes, he has no choice but to just flutter, and you leave it to the defenseman to check out anyone who's in front of him. But you saw it on the Morgan Riley goal that tied the game up. I mean, Tavares just kind of got his way, got in front of him, and no one moved him. And that, obviously, Vasilevsky had no idea where the puck was when it was coming, right? So
how fitting is it that Alex Kerfoot got the OT winner?
Yeah. I saw a lot of tweets like we're deleting all our slander of that Kerfoot, of the Kerfoot slander going on in the group chats, because he's redeemed himself on one goal.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to take away from this game, obviously, but like you said, it was a hell of a game to watch. I was very, very frustrated for 40 minutes. I'd say almost 50 minutes, and then 10 minutes plus OT, I was, on cloud nine. So that's just kind of this playoff hockey. And if you're Toronto, I'd say, you said it before, you've got to kill them. Basically, you've got to Draymond Green stomp on their chests and not let them come back.
Right. What's your confidence level going into Thursday?
Confidence level going into Thursday. I'm at I don't know. I have a hard time seeing Tampa just lay down. I think they're going to fight. I thought they were extremely gritty, and their best players do a great job. Hedman does a great job of pissing them off. Perry does it. Their fourth line. Everyone in their lineup can piss off the team. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 70% that they can complete. Maybe a 60%, actually. I'm gonna reduce.
So you're above 50. So now you're saying that they are gonna win this series. Basically, is what you're saying.
Yep. No, and I will be glad to admit that I am wrong, but I don't like being wrong. I thought that this was the same old team that it's always been, and it wasn't a mind game. It wasn't me picking Toronto picking Tampa because I wanted to feel good about losing or bad about, being right. It was me very looking at both teams and thinking Tampa still had what they had, and Toronto has proved me wrong. So,
What do you make of this new trend of the penalties in overtime? There's 5 of them so far this year. There was
yeah.
not 5 the past 2 postseasons combined. I just find it strange that there's so many all of a sudden when before they never called them.
Yeah, I know. I think we spoke in our group chat earlier. It's kind of the way I feel. It's been postseason. It has been more penalties, and it's been coughed on much softer plays.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. Before it was never like you would never get those kinds of calls in overtime. Like you really had to basically two-hand somebody just to get those calls. And now it feels like they're kind of willy-nilly giving them away. I don't know whether it's because they want the games to end quicker or if they want to mandate, maybe, I don't know, maybe Gary's will say that, we need to call more things. We need more power play. We need more goals. I don't know if that's his mandate, but it clearly feels like something's been passed down from the, we'll call it the NHL management to the referees association and then down to the refs, because it feels like, yeah, you got the green light to call more things than you ever have.
Yeah, I think it's to shorten the games too, because they're already stupid enough that they say a game starts at 10:30 and then it starts at 10:50. But you also have times where, like for instance, last night I was watching Colorado and Seattle. That game ended after 2:30 in the morning. And that was I was thankful it was only 3 minutes in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be pissed if I was Colorado. Like, I wouldn't care how long the game went, So good for Jordan Eberle, pride of Ontario. But I mean, come on, I just and both LA wins were in overtime too. So it's just been strange. It's just a strange new development.
Yeah. I hope it stops, but I mean, I can only see it getting worse and worse. Which is that if you're coaching and you're talking to your players, it's like, hey, like, all this grappling and taking, penalties or maybe even tightening up your game, like then you take a guy like Michael Bunting, just top of the head for the Leafs.
Yeah.
You can't hardly put him on the ice because he's at liability to take a diving call or take a stupid penalty, and then obviously you put your team in an extreme risk.
Talked about this earlier, but I want your opinion. Does he play Thursday or is he in the press box?
I think he's in the presser. Yeah, I think they already said that Nyes is not coming out. I think
he shouldn't. He played great last night.
He played great last night. He's he looked like an NHLer for the first few games I've seen him play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have no problem keeping him in. And then you could trickle down as Zach Aston-Reese. Well, he's got a goal. He plays with a little bit of bite. He's not a dumb player.
Stupid. Yeah, no. He's not. Yeah.
So I don't know that. I mean, the game they lost, and its correlation is the game where he played. So right. I mean, yeah, I think you keep him in the presser.
Maybe and then when you win the series, he comes back in game 1 of the second round, and it's like a fresh start.
Yeah, exactly. And he's probably going to be Boston, and you probably if they do get past, I'm not saying they will. If they do get past, it's probably going to be Boston, and you're going to need a player like that against that series, just with his ability to frustrate opponents. And there's going to be I think there's even going to be more
scrums.
Scrums, tough stuff than there would be in this series, because that's just Boston hates the Leafs and the Leafs don't like Boston, and that's just how it's going to be. So yeah, I think he's needed in that series, but I would leave him out. And then for them, it's just sending him a message, like it's giving him his PP whack, like you made a really dumb call in the first game. You're going to sit out this series while we can try and clean this up.
It's been over a week since the playoffs started. Who's been the best player in the first week of the postseason?
To me, it's Leon Draisaitl, no doubt.
Yeah.
He's just been. I mean, there's just no other horse that in that race, in my opinion, just where he's dominant on both ends. He's making plays. He's just such a smart player on top of all the skill he has, which I think makes him incredible. And he's just a brute. Like you see his length, his
He's
his
strong as
physicality.
hell.
Wow, yeah. And for the longest time, remember how we always said like, oh, they got to break up him and McDavid.
Mhm.
And then sometimes, even sometimes they go back to that combo, and it seems to work more times than not. So yeah, I think he's been my star. Just the stat that he's been on for all 14 Edmonton goals this postseason.
Yeah.
And they're going to need him too. Obviously, there's some issues in Edmonton right now. They're going back to Stuart Skinner tonight. I don't know how you feel about that with Jack Campbell's performance on
Yeah.
Sunday.
He played great,
He did play good.
but it just tells you how little confidence they have in him. It's. I probably would have went with Campbell, but I think Jay Woodcroft kind of has a hate for Campbell because he can't make a save. I just think the coach is like, I can't do it to myself. I can't put Campbell in there.
Yeah, maybe it'll be the same thing. Maybe it'll just Stuart Skinner lets in a couple of softies. It's like, hey,
Right.
get back out there, Soupy.
Yeah.
I could see it. Like honestly, if
Yeah.
it comes down to it.
Do you think Edmonton wins tonight?
Yes, I do. I think they'll win.
Yeah, I think so too.
I thought you were going to say the opposite.
No, I think it'll be another close game.
It's been a good series. It's been to me. It's I never thought Edmonton would run through that team, and obviously I have them picked going into the second round. But I thought that it would look even without the series intact. I thought it would look different than how it has in the sense that I thought the Edmonton games that they won would be 6-3, 6-2 wins.
Right.
And they're barely getting by, which I think speaks a lot to how great LA has been able to maintain the star players that hold the blue and orange jerseys.
Cale Makar suspended one game today after his play last night. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's not needed. I thought that by tossing him out, you're kind of that's his thing. I don't know. For me, I like it because it shows a little bite in his game. He's not just a skilled player.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it was a smart play? No, but not by any means. I mean, the puck wasn't even around McCann. I don't know how you justify that, but I don't know. I think because he stayed down longer and,
McCann's already been ruled out for Game 5.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Cernak thing. Oh, Cernak's out. Well, we got to give Bunting extra games. It feels like that kind of effect is in. I don't think Makar, absolutely went as hard as he could. I don't think McCann was ready for a check. I don't think he expected one.
Right.
And was it a smart play? Like I said, no. I usually think Makar is a very smart player, but his team's down. Maybe it gives them a little life. It injects a little life into the team. Unfortunately, we couldn't see that last night, but it'll be interesting with him out. The news with Nishikushkin.
Yeah,
it's some wild times in Colorado. Obviously, the series is tied, but it feels like it's been tipping in one favor.
Most concern for a possible upset: Edmonton, Colorado, or if I can throw another team in that mix. Not really, I guess.
I was going to say New York, but
let's throw the Rangers in there too.
Okay. Concern level, I'm not going to lie. I was really, really, really high on Edmonton at the end of the year. They just finished on such a positive note that for all that work and all the effort that they put in, getting Kane back and, making the trade for Ekholm, finally finding a decent starter. I mean, to think that a couple of years ago, Mike Smith was in net. They had Mike Smith in net and there's nothing against the guy, but it's just it's just funny to think about. I'd say it'd be hard for Edmonton to go out this way, but Colorado to lose against expansion team in the first round, by all means, I think is also a tough look for them. I guess when you think about all the stars they have out right now and stuff, I think it's more understandable than if Edmonton were to lose. What about you? What do you think?
The Rangers they all played like Artemi Panarin last night, which was no effort and no heart and just Gerard Gallant didn't sugarcoat it. They were lifeless. They didn't have anything last night, and it wasn't like New Jersey was so up, but New Jersey just had a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Hughes is fearless. The dude, he's used to. I thought he used to play afraid a little bit. He doesn't care anymore. He just go, okay, I'll get the puck. I'll beat you. I'll deke you down the ice. I mean that goal he scored. He's such a great player. My boy Jonas Siegenthaler, game-winning goal, healthy scratch in game 2. Enough of that. Lindy Ruff, get him back in the lineup. That's what he does. Big goal, Jonas. But I thought Panarin, Zibanejad, Patty, it was just all on the outside. It was not, there was no effort. And New York misses that element of physicality, that element of a spark plug on their team to kind of get them back in the game. And they don't really have it. And that concerns me.
Yeah, if it's not Kreider, it really. I mean, there's no one. You got Kreider and Trouba; those are the only two guys that will on the blue line, and then in the forward
They're
group.
they're two of your best players. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's like I don't know. It's weird because they had Ryan Reeves at one point. They moved on from him. They have Barclay Goodrow, I guess, and he maybe has not been himself / not had that physicality he usually has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it does. And then obviously, like you said, in your top 6, you just got too many soft players: Tarasenko, Kane, Panarin. Yeah. I even expect a little bite from Zibanejad because he's such a competitive player.
Does. Yeah,
he's got that. He's just got that like superstar aura around him when he's playing. That I often think that he it's kind of like Kucherov. He gets pissed off and then he can get physical. But I haven't seen that. I definitely didn't see it out of him last night. Obviously, I was flip-flopping both of the Leafs game, but everything I turned on for New York was just not impressive.
Tonight's game, who has Carolina close out the Islanders?
I think I've just been so disgusted. Like I hope so because watching the Islanders is just it's borderline torture. Like I feel bad for their fans. It's just not fun hockey to watch at all.
Yeah, it's a tough series. It's a tough series. Minnesota Dallas game 5. Who wins that tonight?
It's been decent. Yeah, I think the Wild respond.
Wild respond tonight. Okay.
Yeah. What about you? You got D Stars?
Yeah.
Your boy Robo?
I picked them to win the series, so I'll stick with them. But
I got Dallas to win the series, so
Minnesota's been better. Minnesota's been better in the series, but bar none, no debate there. Ottinger is just a stud. I mean, the dude is he couldn't convert to be a Canadian. He could start for us at the next Olympic Games. I can tell you that. He'd be better than anybody we got over here. But he's great. Yeah, they give up a lot of, like the other night, the amount of breakaways that he stopped. Like he robbed Kaprizov twice on friggin' breakaways. Yeah, I think Dallas will come out tonight. They haven't played really a good game since game 2. I think they'll play well, do enough. And I got Edmonton winning.
Yeah.
How about those zombie Heat?
Did you catch any of that game last night?
I watched a bit of it. Yeah.
I'm stunned. At first I was like, okay, Giannis is going to play, but he's clearly banged up. Well, then he drops a 25-point triple-double, and I'm like, okay, well, they should be able to clean this up pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy Butler just at 33, he just amazes me. This is a nod to him because I've criticized his career heavily because in the beginning I don't think he was a great teammate, and I still sometimes question whether he's a good teammate.
I don't think he is,
but he's a great player, and there's no questioning that. He's not even a 3-point shooter, and he was knocking down threes like it was prime 96-23.
He went 19 for 28 last night.
I know, incredible. Like, and I don't know if we'll ever see a game from him like that again. But to assert himself in the team in the series and take a commanding 3-1 lead, I think was so important for them to curve out this Milwaukee team. I still think Milwaukee has a lot of fight in them, and I don't doubt that they can come back and easily win this. But it's just been incredible, yeah. And I don't know, like without Hero, no Victor Oladipo, like they're just losing bodies, but somehow they're still finding ways to win. What's the
Duncan
need
Robinson.
for Milwaukee right now in order to claw back into the series now?
I mean, Drew Holiday fouled out, and he's trying to guard Jimmy, and he's probably the best perimeter defender in the NBA,
Yeah.
and he couldn't do anything. I almost look at this team, Shea. I'm not letting Jimmy shoot. Let anybody else. Like Bam has lost all confidence. He's
He's
trash.
terrible.
He can't make a Jimmy to save his. I'd let Duncan Robinson shoot. Strus, I think Strus had 0 points last night. Let him shoot. Kyle Lowry, please feel free anywhere, anywhere shoot it.
Yeah, exactly.
Take it to the 10. I would go out of my way to force. But I think this is all like a game 6 plan because I think Jimmy's gonna be dead tired tomorrow night. They play. It's not like normal where the NBA you get like 2-3 days between. If they play tomorrow night, I think he's gonna be gassed. So for game 6, because I think that's where the Heat have to throw all your energy. It's tougher. It's tough to win on the road, and if you can find a way to win that game tomorrow, I think that's the biggest thing or win the game 6 at home is the biggest thing for the Heat.
Theoretically, if Milwaukee loses, is it panic time in the state of Wisconsin, or is it okay? We lost to a really good player and a team that we thought we were going to roll over. We're going to keep this core group and try it again, or do you think there needs to be major changes?
They do have the oldest team in the NBA.
That's all their players are veterans. That's the thing. They have one guy, I can't remember his name, that he sometimes plays, and he's the only young guy on the team. Everyone else is 27, 28, and now.
Oh, the Dookie? Grayson Allen, my boy?
No, not even him. There's another young guy that I think they drafted a couple years ago, but he hasn't played in the playoffs, but sometimes he plays in the regular season. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, if they lose, does Budenholzer get fired? 1 versus 8.
Yeah, it's a bad look. He's a good coach, though. That's the problem. I really like Boot. He might get fired. It would be a really bad look. It looked like a waste of a season, a great season. Obviously, Milwaukee was, many people regard them as the best regular season team, right?
The more I watch them, even if they come back, I don't think they can beat your Celtics.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. There's something different about this team than there was.
Matthews and all these old ass wings that can hardly move anymore, and they play like significant minutes, and that would concern me.
Yeah, exactly. It really sometimes just feels like Giannis, Holiday, and Lopez out there, and
Brook Lopez played such a great game last night. He dropped 33, and they still lost.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like it's at times it doesn't, and it does in the regular season at times too. It does feel like those three guys really carry the team, and then maybe Middleton puts in a half decent effort. Maybe Connaughton comes off the bench and plays well. Allen played pretty well for the first 3 games of the season, but for the series, and I didn't think he played extremely well last night. But it is what it is, right? So. Yeah, it's interesting. Zombie Heat they just rise, and if they can win, I think if they win, this could be a real tip of the cap to Eric Spoelstra and what he's been able to do this year for this team.
If they win this series and they play the Knicks, who should be the favorite in that series?
Oh God, I forgot that they're going to play the Knicks too because they're oh, how am I ever so wrong? Two series where I'm just getting dusted in. I think with the injury problems, I'd probably lean towards New York, but you never know. I mean, they're rolling over a really good Milwaukee team. It doesn't mean they can't stop there.
Tom Thibodeau's got balls. Sunday I was watching that. He benched Julius Randle for the whole fourth quarter, and they still won the game. And good on him because Randle's been playing like crap.
Yeah. If it's not Brunson, and it's sometimes
RJ.
feels like
Air Canada.
RJ, yeah, he's come back. He had a bad shaky first couple of games, and then he's been excellent since. So you got to give your kudos to him, Canadian player. But yeah, no, I love it. He's got stones. I mean, he's a long-term coach. He's been coaching for a long time. So I love that he can just say, "Fuck you, you're my star. I'm not playing you just because you're my. We pay you a lot of money. I'm playing because I want to win."
Right.
Yeah.
Should we let the U.S. claim Dylan Brooks?
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I don't know. You can't talk that much shit and then just not be able to back it up. It's just pathetic. Makes you look like a goon.
Yeah.
And then you can't answer for it. You're gonna deny. You're gonna swat the media away. Like, come on, like you have something coming towards you. At least take your lickings, right?
Right. Oh, 100%. Like, commit to be a villain.
Do you
Like,
think that? Go ahead. Sorry, finish.
no, just when you're a heel, be a heel. Like, don't pretend, don't turn babyface after one
Yeah.
bad moment. Like, you got to commit to the bit here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like if, like you got to either keep talking shit or basically just fess up and apologize. But I don't think Dylan Brooks doesn't seem the guy who gives up too many sorries.
Like
Even
LeBron's a liar. He owns it all the time. I appreciate that of him.
I don't know if he's ever owned being a liar, but I hope he does.
His injuries and political views, and he's kind of over the place. But liar, pants on fire. Dylan Brooks.
He's fed it. He's fed a lot of fire to that LA team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they pissed off. LeBron's pissed off and playing better because of it. And I'm not happy if I'm Memphis. Like if I'm Memphis, I'm saying, what the hell were you thinking? Lighting this fire under this team.
Is he a Memphis Grizzly day one of next year?
I think he is. I think that besides all the BS and all the Draymond Bill bullshit that he's put into his system, I think he can still be an effective player. I just think he's playing fairly poorly right now. But he's kind of like Ja. He's got to clean his act up and figure out that, you can talk shit and do all that stuff, but you have to be a decent, consistent player before doing so.
Golden State Sacktown Game 5. Who wins tomorrow night?
Yeah. De'Aaron Fox is doubtful.
Yeah.
Are you stressed? You've been praising this team all year long. It's got to be at least something semi-stressful.
It's we light the beam nation. We don't
back down.
It's tough.
If he's
for some reason, I think he's going to try to play.
Yeah, it's such a bad move though, because if he gets hurt, if he gets more hurt,
yeah,
if they can win without him, which I don't know if they can, because
I don't think they can.
Sabonis he's off his rockers right now. Mentally, he's just fractured as a human being.
Draymond broke him, literally.
Draymond broke him. I hate Draymond, but good for Draymond. He broke him.
Yeah.
And Murray, I mean, Jesus, he had a decent game last game, but he's been pathetic this entire series leading up to it.
Yeah. Alex Len playing well.
How many minutes did that guy get? He must have got some time.
I think he played 13 minutes in Game 4.
Yeah, we got to bump that up to 15 in Game 5.
Yeah, right. Get him out there. Sabonis hit the bench.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. Right now, you don't want the Kings going in with this much confidence and this much. What's the word I'm looking for? They're just rolling on. I guess those two big wins, such a tight game in Game 4.
Mm-hmm.
Clay is just doing his thing. Clay is just 20 points, shoots half decent. Wiggins gets 20 points. He's half decent. Yeah, I think Golden State takes it. I think they win this, and I think they win the series.
Yeah, I think so too.
I hate it because I hate it because I want Sacramento to win. People know how I feel about Golden State.
How you feel about Golden State? Yeah, not a fan. Kawhi Leonard. Take it from there.
Basically let his team down fully. I don't know how a Clippers fan would have more respect for Kawhi Leonard than they would Russell Westbrook, because regardless, Russ Westbrook plays every minute. And he plays half decent. And it doesn't matter. He could be banged up. He could have one leg out there and he's still playing.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard, no, I don't feel right today. Get it? His sister's on trial. She's going to prison. You're getting paid a lot of money and you just signed a large extension last year. You got to think that there'd be more in the tank than this. Banged up or not?
Paul George is going to be out. Kawhi's under contract for another 3 years after this one. He can't stay healthy. Like, this Clippers team is going nowhere fast. They'll be banged up forever.
Yeah. No, I don't understand that they, all the picks they gave away, they have to ride with this team. I get it, but at some point you got to consider shopping this guy and trying something else out. There's just too. I think I heard it on a podcast last weekend. It's just too much player
empowerment.
Too much player. What's that?
Empowerment.
Kind of, yeah. Like if you're a top 10 player, it's like, yeah, I'm going to hold all the cards in front of you, and if not, I'm going to threaten to leave.
Right.
And good for look at Brooklyn. They shopped a top 10 player in the league, and they got a whole bunch for him, and they got some decent players too, and they still made the playoffs. Well, it could be a different story in the off season, but I give what's his name, Joe Suey, is that his name? Joe Tsai. I give Joe Tsai a lot of credit for having the stones to say, listen, I'm not putting up with Kyrie. I'm not putting up with KD. You guys can both beat it, and I'm going to do my own thing.
Right. Your Celtics close out the Sad Sack Hawks tonight?
Without the ref abuser, probably.
Their best player. Yeah.
Is that warranted for a 1-game suspension?
Yeah, you can't touch an official.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. Plus, I'm sick of watching that series, so I'm glad it's over. Just being honest here. I want to see Celtics and Sixers. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Do you like that the NBA rolls over like that? Like you can start another series without having to wait for all the series to end, or do you like?
Really.
No, you like how the NHL does it?
Yeah, I don't really like that because I imagine if they finish tonight, I imagine the Celtics will probably start Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, probably.
Because they like to have the ABC games on Saturday. So unless, I guess Golden State's tomorrow, they could go like Celtics game 1, Golden State game 6. I guess they could do that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
I think because New York's probably. Well, I shouldn't say that they're going to close it out, but they could.
I guess maybe the Celtics will start Sunday.
Yeah,
because they can do those 2 game 6s and then the Celtics game 1 Sunday afternoon, ABC.
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, just free programming here at ESPN. Throw me a buck. Somebody. What do you got in the go the rest of the week? Gonna watch the NFL draft this week, or gonna take that?
I'll definitely tune in. I watched the first couple picks, and I gotta pick a new team this year. I think it's my goal before the season starts that I'm gonna have to kind of eliminate and see where players go and pick a team. I don't want to do what I did with Baker and pick one and pick him, and then I just end up with a franchise like that. So
what about the Jets?
No, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. Not particularly my favorite guy.
Yeah,
Zach Wilson, a great guy, lady killer.
Oh, he's solid. Cheats.
When is that? Saturday?
Thursday night.
I'll probably tune on that for a little bit. I'm actually my course opens tomorrow, so I'm gonna golf Thursday probably for a little bit, get the rounds going. It's supposed to rain, but we'll see. And this weekend should be relatively quiet. A few games here and there, I'm sure, in the mix, but not too much. I'm off on study leave for the rest of the month, so excited about that.
Nice. Yeah. So it's like month of May or just April?
Month of May. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nice little sneaky one.
Like trying to get it done. Every week when I'm on, we'll update the viewers on the confidence level and how we're feeling leading up to it.
When is that? That's in June, correct?
Yes, the end of May / into June.
Okay, end of May / into June. Well, that's good. I'm feeling good vibes. Not today because the weather's been shit today and it's 3 degrees up here. But the birds are chirping, the squirrels are out, Dirk's barking at them. That's why there was the loud noise earlier. You can feel it in the air. It's gonna be good. I think it's June. June's a month of opportunity.
I love it. Yeah. No, rolling in, and it'll be nice. I gotta ask one more thing before I let you off here.
Yeah.
New A4 movie coming out. Beau is Afraid. Your boy Walk. I know how much you love him. Is this something you're going to try to see in theaters? You're going to wait till come out on streaming services? What's the deal with this?
So yeah, I was actually funny you bring that up. I was looking up because I knew he had a new movie coming out. Originally, it was called Recreation Boulevard or something like that.
Okay.
And they switched the name of the movie. So I was looking it up and I couldn't find it. And now it's what you just said.
Yeah, Bo was afraid.
Yeah, Beau is Afraid. So yes, I would like to see it. He's got another movie coming out this year called Napoleon, which is obviously based off Napoleon Bonaparte, which if I know him, it'll be good. But I would like to see it.
Yeah,
I would like to see that. I still haven't seen Air. I do want to see that before
me
it's
too.
out of theaters, or at least when it gets into streaming, because I've only heard good things about it. And what's your favorite Ben Affleck movie, by the way? Quick little aside.
That he's been in or that he's directed?
Been in, directed, any kind of vehicle Ben Affleck related.
Okay. Sneaky one that I really like, David Fincher movie, Gone Girl.
Very good.
That was maybe wasn't his best performance, but that was a really good movie overall.
Mm-hmm.
That or The Town. I'm a softie. I really like The Town. I've watched it 5-6 times. I always seem to enjoy it every time I watch it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
What about you?
I like The Town. I like Catching Amy. It's a good movie.
That's a good movie, yeah.
Yeah. I do like Gone Girl as well. The book's phenomenal. The movie was really good as well with Rosamund Pike. She was great in that role as well.
Been in a lot.
There's obviously Good Will Hunting, of course.
Yeah, great act.
I'm like you. I like The Town. I think he did a really good job. I think he captured Boston in that movie, and I think there's a lot of ways he could have screwed that up, but I think he did a really good job with that movie. And he's had such an interesting career.
Yeah, I'm assuming you listened to that podcast with him and I think
Bill Simmons.
Yeah, the Bill Simmons one.
Yeah, I listened to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they did a great job of breaking down, everything leading up and his, his come up and where he struggled and where career got a little shaky. And it's funny because he's had such an interesting personal life and everything he's been through, but outside of the media and meters. And yeah, I wish him not the best. And he's quite the cat.
Yeah.
A good one. If you ever want to watch one, and this is probably some of his best work I've ever seen, is probably The Way Back, the basketball one where he's
about him being an alcoholic.
Yes, yeah, he's a recovering alcoholic and he struggled with a loss. And anyways, that was a surprise. I had no expectations going in, but it was a really, really good movie.
I think that was like an emotion. He said that was like an emotional one for him because he did that right after he got sober, which I'm sure would have been a bit triggering. Like that would have been, but no, he's good. I like Ben Affleck. I'm always seeing him smoking cigarettes somewhere and with a white beater on makes me smile. Well, enjoy the course. Hopefully the weather gets better. Congratulations to your Leafs, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. There's Shamus Fillmore, everybody. Great to chat with him as we do every Tuesday here on the program. No Matt Wright tomorrow. He's got some work tied up. He let me know that this morning. No problem. I'll do my own mock draft tomorrow when it comes to the NFL draft, so I'll do that tomorrow. Recap the NHL this evening, the NBA, everything else going on in the world of sports. Until then, take care, everybody. Have a great day. This is To The Point.